I'll start that right now. And we should be recording, right? Did you just hear something that said it was recording?
No.
No. Okay. No, it is. It is recording. Okay, we're good to go. Sorry about that. Okay, so jumping right into things here. The very first question, pretty painless. What do you know or what have you heard about guided pathways?
Well, what do I know about guided pathways? I think that in one definition, it is actually taking all the weaknesses of the community college and putting them on a path to shorten students' duration getting after whatever goal they have, whether it be certificate, degree, or transfer. In a nutshell, I think it's just the organization and cutting out so many of the options that stifles students. For a faculty or the colleges on their own, I think that it just kind of organizes the thought process and streamlines the helping students get to where they need to get in a timely or more organized fashion.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And where are you getting your information about it, or where are which resources are you hearing your information from?
Well, of course, I have heard from the state chancellor. I have had a chance to read the some national articles. Definitely, my school here at Los Angeles Trade Technical College, we're moving in that direction quickly. As a matter of fact, I'm a part of a pathway, though it is the CTE level, more specifically construction pathway. So we're in it and we live it every day.
Yeah, well, good.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about guided pathways in terms of its functions in the CCC system?
It works. It can work. Mm-hmm. I think that there are some hurdles to jump, but once we get past those, and once we can get past the pain of yet another initiative, that attitude anyway, I think that we can go pretty far with this because it really it hones in on what a student has to go through. I mean, if we're student focused, this honestly focuses the student, in my opinion.
Great. We talked a little bit about what you already know. What do you want to know about guided pathways at this point? What are your questions?
It's just funny that you asked that question because I participated in the conference yesterday and that question was asked and I never really thought of it myself. I think what I want to know is steps. Two things I really want to know. The steps is, well, step one is how do we get everybody to buy into this guided pathways, and I hate to use the word initiative, the rollout. How do we get everyone involved so it can be really smooth, the idea can be really smooth, and we can transition to more successes? I think my second one is, what would be, well, I'll just leave it at that one. I'll leave it at that one for now.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll take whatever you'd like to give. So if you have others, please feel free.
I just lost my train of thought because I was really kind of thinking about that, to be real honest.
If you pick it back up, feel free to jump in anytime. We can keep it casual.
All right, very good.
So the next question here, I think you are, but are you familiar with the underlying principles that form the Guided Pathways framework?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I have my next bit here is a little script kind of with background information, but it sounds to me like you're very familiar with the project and so forth. So if you're okay with it, I'll just skip the script.
Oh, that's fine. Okay. However way you want to do it.
Yeah, when we created this protocol, I think we didn't realize how informed this group would be. So I'm trying to not waste your time is all.
I appreciate it.
So other thoughts about guided pathways and how it's being implemented and supported in the CCC system, good and bad. So let's start with maybe the good? Like what problems is it going to solve? What positive things do you see coming out of implementing guided pathways?
Well, the good things, I think that it becomes student focused. So now the student doesn't waste time. It doesn't have to guess at what classes to take. There's some roadmap. There's some forest for the trees, clearing, because the paths are there. And when you can see a path and feel a path, and there's people that are talking to you and that are supporting you on the path, it's easier to get through. So I think that is a beautiful idea. It's a concept that works. You have a lot of stakeholders. The student feels supported. So it feels to me like a student going through their path with a family, with a group of people that are helping them, whether it be faculty, administrators, classified, other students for that matter. I mean, it just really feels like a plan that we can hold on to. Another good thing, I think it stops the wasting of time. A lot of students will tend to come with an idea in mind about where they want to, or lack of an idea as to what they want to major in or what their emphasis will be. It kind of narrows that down too. It stops the floundering of a student, which I think get them on track as quickly as possible. Less time, less money, less anguish. I think it helps focus the student in the direction of each college.
Okay, good.
I just crossed my eyes right then.
So let's go to the other side of that coin. What about negative things that might happen or new problems that might be caused by implementing guided pathways?
Well, I have a list of them.
Oh, my.
The first thing is the lack of communication. I don't think, because of how it's being rolled out, I think it tends to be a little bit administratively heavy. Yes, the idea is serving the student, but it's not necessarily about the student at first, because we're so used to the initiatives being kind of top down, whereas, these initiatives are kind of trying to be holistic or organic. So we're not including all the stakeholders in the process of putting the pathways together. That's one of them. And another thing is the lack of buy-in with stakeholders, namely faculty. We have faculty that's like, hey, listen, we don't want another thing. And their pushback is from the lack of understanding what's happening here. And their lack of rigidness is from this lack of information.
Mm-hmm.
I think that just observing the 3 conferences that I attended, that this task seems overwhelming, and a lot of folks don't understand the key terms, the directions, the task, what a meta major really is, the vision of open pathways or guided pathways. I think that the time frames are a little bit confusing to folks. We're really accustomed to, once an initiative comes out, we need to jump on it in a timely fashion. Whereas this has a little bit more of a 5-year rollout. And, I think the stress behind it causes people not to really think about it, to really let it grow organically. Let's see, I'm looking at my notes now, Carrie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
I think we also have a little bit of a problem with fear of colleges reaching out to other colleges within the CCC to observe and use their best practices. What I thought of in the conference that we did in this last 3 conferences that I attended, we didn't put any best practices out there. What is the piece of paper that you're going to hand a student about joining the liberal arts guided pathway and what that entails? I think a real practical piece or pieces of paper that describes this guided pathway for a student is really a beautiful thing. And I think that that lacked. We need that. We need that. What are these people who are a little bit further along the line who are actually doing this now? What does it look like to the student? And I think that should have been a part of the whole conference in itself, of itself. And then I guess the last thing for me as far as bad is we may suffer from analysis paralysis, just observing these different colleges that I had the pleasure of facilitating for. They were looking at their data to a point where it was almost like they were not going to get anywhere. You know, we know that, you know, things are a little bit tough. The math, but let's address those things and let's move to the bigger issue, so we can move to the big goal, and that's putting some paths together to help the students. And I think we just kind of got bogged down, and that may have something to do with math and English silos amongst faculty. I'm not sure what that is, but I just felt as if when the analysis came out, when they were visiting the data portion, it really stifled people. You know, okay, it's all bad. Okay, well, it's not all bad. There's people who make it. Why can't we focus on the people who make it and why they make it, and take it from there? I've talked too much. That's it.
Those are good. I'm glad you had notes. That's helpful. Is there? Okay. I'm sorry. I heard some muffling. I wasn't sure if that was a bad connection or what.
You know what? I just took a sip of water. Maybe that was me. I apologize.
No worries. No worries. Okay. So a lot of the things you talked about, I would call them like barriers to success and things that are kind of in the way at this point. So framing the question that way, do you have any other additional things that you think barriers to successful implementation of guided pathways? And that could be specifically at your college or at the system level. And a lot of you address count.
Yeah. Please say that again.
A lot of the things you outlined just now, I think would apply to this, but I just want to give you that opportunity if you have any, with that new frame of the question.
I think that, you know, the biggest thing is to have an organic growth of guided pathways. I think that's the biggest issue. And not a lot of people know the key terms, why, the meta majors. I think what we have to do is we got to get groups together. I mean, and really flesh it out, because if you don't, it's obvious that there are people over here that know how to do it, but over there they don't, or they don't have an idea what one hand is doing with the other one. It's just some real trust factors. So, I mean, I think that somehow we have to communicate, like, listen, we're doing this for the benefit of the student. Our data is showing this. Let's do something different to improve the data, but more specifically for each student. So getting all the groups to work together. We work together. We are colleagues, but why can't we work together? And why do we operate in these silos? So how do we break them down? How do we get people to meet with a focus on getting it done as opposed to another thing to do?
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about at your college? How's Guided Pathways being communicated on your campus to faculty and staff?
That's a good question. We're a little bit further along than many, I'll say. But it makes sense here. You know, at LA Trade Tech College, we are 70% CTE, career technical education. So, you know, I happen to be in the construction area. Well, if you take a carpentry class and your goal is to one day become a carpenter, really you go from the basics up to the more complex issues and notions and theories and that sort of thing. So it really makes sense that you have to know how to hammer before you can lay a foundation or apply some drywall. You know, it has a system to it, right? So our thing is kind of easier to understand. What we're bringing into it is all the supportive services. So now, rather than going over there for counseling, I'm in the building where construction takes place. You know, their counselor is right in the building with them. Their financial aid person person is in the building. You don't have to go over to financial aid anymore. We're operating within a college where all the services are right in the same building, which is, phenomenal in my opinion, rather than ping-ponging a student all over the campus. Listen, on this day, the financial aid person will be there. On this day, every day, there will be counselors there. If you need this service or that service, it's right here, which I believe that is just awesome. I think it works for the student. It benefits the student. The social or the services that we have, one of them is supporting the faculty. That works awesome also. Going over into the classroom, and that's where I operate. I actually operate in the students' classrooms, giving them the student educational plans and going over scholarship opportunities or whatever it is. But, my office is only so big. Well, we have 5,000 students. It's one me. We're able to take the counseling notion into the classrooms, which I think is another way of breaking down some of those silos, because, in the past, the faculty didn't trust counselors. Well, now they know who I am, and if there's a mistake made, they have a point person. They know who said it. They know who did it, and they can figure out why. And because the relationship is better, there's more of a trust here.
So for you all, the communication of Guided Pathways and everything has been easy and consistent?
Yeah. But I mean, we have room for growth. I mean, we do have liberal arts on our campus, whereas that's a little bit more difficult. I think we need to continue to, how do we make those paths and how do we navigate getting those services to the different places on the campus? There's only been so many services that we could spread out to. So, yeah, I mean, we have ways to go, but I think because we're such a CTE-driven college, it's pretty successful. As far as students earning their certificate. Now, earning their degree, that's an area that we can begin to work on, moving into contextualized learning for English. I mean, that would be great for that, student that wanted to be in carpentry to have an option of writing his paper about assembling a drywall or something that was having to do with math as it relates to carpentry, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, I think that's the area where we need to continue to grow, but those things are rolling, and I think people are beginning to trust what's happening because we're now starting to see the results.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, our next question, we're almost to the end here. To what extent, if any, do you see a relationship between the CCC Guided Pathways framework and other statewide or college initiatives in which you're involved?
I mean, I kind of touched on it. I mean, I think there's the other, there goes that word again, initiatives that are out there. They can match up. They can match up. There's room in a pathway to have, this equity notion. There's room to have the culturally related puentes and Umojas. There's room for those services, the supportive services, to go right alongside of what a student would need. And, I am not an artist, but I wish I could draw it, because I would draw the student walking through this pathway, but all the supportive services that are on the side as that person progresses. So, I mean, I think that we have something. I mean, I think this Guided Pathway thing has, and any initiative that you want to bring into it, there's room for it. We just have to bring it alongside of and trust that it will work if we all remain kind of open to what's there and what services go right alongside and what a student needs. But, again, with the emphasis on paying attention to what the student needs, not what we think they need.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, that wraps up all of the specific questions, but I'd like to give you an opportunity if there's anything else you'd like to say or comment on about Guided Pathways in general to include in our research.
It's been the underlining thing that I've been thinking of, upon reflection, is the communication, the lack of communication, and trust amongst all of the supporting cast, whether it be faculty, administration, what have you. We have to just kind of make it we have to kind of wash out our dirty laundry and see how we can better serve our product, and that's our students. I mean, this is an opportunity for all of us to focus in on just the student and the services that support that student. I mean, all of the data will support it. All of the coming alongside of the student will have the student to report out saying, like, listen, I got through this because somebody was walking alongside of me. This program supported me with books. I mean, this program, I was able to, I thought I wanted to go in this direction, but upon talking about it, I was able to go into that direction, and I graduated, or I finished my deal in a shorter period of time, and I still have room, and I still have financial aid left to take to the next level. So the focus is great. It's beautiful. It's heaven sent. I think that we have to continue to break down the silos, because we tend to work in silos. We have to, to build the trust in one another, and we have to kind of cross. I used an analogy of the northwest, south, east major communication. We have to communicate up, down, north and south. North and south, and east and west. We have to be able to cross communicate and not be afraid of what one group says versus another group, or one president versus a classified or a student worker, or a student or a student who works. We just have to figure out how to run down this thing together. And I think it can be done without all the confusion that it brings, because people don't understand the terms and the vision of it.
Great. That's an excellent point. And very well said. Okay. Well, yeah, that does it. Unless there's anything else you'd like to add, I appreciate your time very, very much, and appreciate you participating in this effort.
Well, hey, listen, thank you for including me. Wow, it's kind of a humbling thing, and I hope that I was helpful.
Oh, absolutely. All of like I said, these interviews have kind of brought some different perspectives and thoughts in from folks who've been a little more deeply involved in, the workshops, especially over the past month. So it is helpful, right. and especially when you put it together with the other research we've been doing. So yes, definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
No, yeah, you're welcome.
And with that, I bid you a lovely afternoon.
Likewise. Take care. If you need me in any way, just reach out.
Will do. Thanks again. Have a good one.
All right. You too, Karen. Bye.
Bye-bye.